Alrighty, and there we go. So this is session 18 of Masks of Nyarlathotep, which I am still managing to pronounce mostly properly.
Better than us.
You guys are investigating strange doings in London, trying to get to the bottom of what might be going on, what might have led to your friend Elias Jackson's untimely demise in New York. Last game, you guys realized that somebody has considerable sway with the police and with the media getting a front page story about a group of malcontents who broke into the Penhew Foundation. Vague descriptions of you, no photos or anything of that nature, nothing completely damning, but enough for you to realize that somebody somewhere is pulling strings. Both
Yeah, Evelyn.
with the police and with the media as well, to get the story out so quick. Thankfully, Salvatore managed to use some connections he had with a group called the Orpheus Society, which is a gentleman's club slash secret society, to get you lodgings that were off the beaten path, someplace safe. You started going through the various doohickeys and books that you got from the Penhew Foundation. And Dr. Carter has taken some of the more esoteric languages, scrolls and books in Latin and Egyptian and various other languages nobody speaks, to colleagues of his at Oxford to get some translation done. The books that you did have, that you could read, indicated that this there seems to be this one kind of pervasive deity, for lack of a better term, worshipped under different names in different parts of the world. Specifically, the documents you guys have referenced the Black Pharaoh and the Bloody Tongue, amongst other. Father of Bats, I think, was another name. All of which indicate some sort of widespread and pervasive religious cult. Luther managed to get himself a day job, working on some trucks for a shipping company, local shipping. And when Alvin and Evelyn went to meet him after work, you were attacked by something invisible, something non-corporeal, that tried to suffocate you. Led to a high-speed chase and a wrecked car, but the investigators are none the worse for wear, really, all things being equal. But you guys know that you were exceptionally careful to make sure you weren't followed, to make sure nobody had eyes on you, to make sure that you were discreet. Yet this thing zeroed in on you somehow. That's pretty much where we left off, with you guys deciding what your next play is. You do have a couple of leads that you can follow up. And since it's been a couple of weeks, I will kind of go over the outstanding leads you have. You know that the Penhew Foundation leased storage space in Limehouse, in a warehouse that belongs to a Mr. Chidari. And that's where they were shipping things from the Foundation to the holding in Limehouse, and then on board a ship called the Ivory Wind, which is registered in Shanghai. Amongst the various paperwork and stuff that you found in the Penhew Foundation, you found a receipt for a very large safe delivered to a place called Henson Manufacturing in Derby, a couple hours outside London by train. And you also had contact with a mysterious woman who seems to be working with Gavigan, but who indicated that she knew a lot of information about you guys. And she seems to be the owner operator of a business called Empire Spice. That currently is the total of what you guys have for leads.
And we're back at the safe house, or the
You guys
call
are
police?
you guys are back at the safe house. It's like 7 o'clock in the evening. People are a little bit shaken from the creature that attacked. Oh,
I really like the smart lady, but I just wasn't there in that scene to kind of suck up to her.
yeah.
But
Oh,
I think she's an ally, not an enemy.
yeah. And if I remember correctly, Evelyn managed to remember a reference to a creature called the Thing in the Fog, which seems to match the description of the thing that assailed you. Didn't recall any actual information about it other than the fact that it is tied into this whole religious aspect, or as you guys are fond of referring to it, Peruvian shit, or Peru shit. But we will turn it over to you guys, and you can decide what you would like to do.
All right. If I don't have to roll a number for it, when Luther wakes up, there's a case of wine outside his hotel door.
We're all staying
Because I made a bet for that, right?
Yeah.
My notes, Chris, say that Luther remembered something called frog spawn, sent by people to attack their enemies, but the spell is dispelled at daylight.
Oh, okay.
He remembers that we have a jar of dust to let us see invisible things. If you summon an invisible assassin, you might want to be able to see it.
All right, there you go. I thought it was Evelyn that remembered that because I'm used to her remembering things.
No, Evelyn was retching in the bathroom, actually, when we ended game.
Yeah. So Luther is the one that remembered this.
In there.
Yeah.
And just for your notes, it is fog spawn, not frog spawn.
Okay, then.
They are two very different things.
But both could exist in this game.
Both do exist in this game.
See, that's why it didn't strike me as weird, because it was like, oh yeah, frogs and Lovecraft, that sounds right. Okay, fog spawn. There we go. I've updated my notes.
Miss Collins, are you all right?
Not particularly, no.
Okay.
How are you?
Doesn't matter. I need you to get all right. I need you to buckle up, straighten your back, get out here, read these books, figure out what the fuck is going on.
I'm really only going to be helpful when it comes to reading the ones that are in English.
That's better than anything else we have right now. Well, I don't know what just happened. I'm angry and confused and more angry. But we can't fight this stuff, this fog thing, unless we figure out how to kill it. So, book time for one of you, all of you, whatever.
Book
I
o'clock.
don't care. It's book o'clock. You're right. Good job, Bill. Just read the book.
Thank you.
Figure it out and tell me how to kill these things. Yeah? And Luther's just basically in panic mode. He's just pointing fingers.
He's like pacing across the room back and forth.
Eyes are wide, sweating profusely, just pointing fingers and barking orders.
All of this sucks, and I don't know what to do, and I don't like not knowing what to do.
Basically, yeah. But he's adamant about it. Like, he really means what he's saying. He just doesn't know what to do, right?
When in doubt, be assertive.
Chris, was it the Book of Daison that I was reading?
Yes.
Yes, that was in English. Okay. And there was
There was one I was reading, too.
There's an old English scroll. I think that was the one you were reading, wasn't it? Or do you have other languages?
No, I'm mostly just English. That was Volador. Volador spoke like 7 languages.
Salvatore, was reading the Equinox Divis in French. Uh,
Yeah, I was reading a French.
and that was where we got the references to repeatedly to one deity called the Witchmaker, the Bloody Tongue, the Three-Eyed Shadow, and the Dark Pharaoh.
One demon. There's only one god.
Sure. One. Every god is someone else's demon. Every demon is someone else's god.
Miss Collins, read the book.
I read the book.
Read it
I read
again.
the book.
Somebody's got to figure this out. I don't know how to do this. Figure it out. I'll kill it. Just tell me how to do it.
Would you feel better if you had your code?
Yes, please. Actually, a great deal.
Evelyn will go to her room and fetch his jacket that she has been taking care of while he's been at work.
The one time I take off my jacket, I get suffocated by something invisible.
I forgot about that. That's great.
And come back out with his coat. She looks paler than usual. And a little red around the eyes. Here's your jacket.
Thank you, Miss Collins.
Hey, Chris, I noticed from the list there were two books written in medieval French. I don't know if I read both of them or just one of them, but if I've only read one, I'm going to read the other.
I think you have read both because one of them you got previously. One of them you got from the Carlisle Library.
There were 3 books. One was in Latin, one in French, and one in English. There were 15 scrolls. 2 were in
Oh, I'm
French.
looking at the scrolls. I'm sorry. You're right.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll read the French scrolls then.
Okay. All right. So the scrolls seem to be just a collection of poems. No real in-depth knowledge. But it just kind of it ties together the idea that there's this one being worshipped in multiple places, predominantly throughout Africa, but some into Europe as well. That goes by a variety of names. And it's just by going through and kind of cross-referencing the scrolls and the books that you get the idea that it is like a many tendrilled cult. And whoever is doing actual research in the books, the way it works in 7th edition Call of Cthulhu is books have their own Cthulhu mythos rating that you can use as a reference guide, as a textbook, basically. So if there's specific mythos-related information you're looking for, you can spend time going through the textbook, as it were, seeing if there's any references to it. You've already read the books and taken the sanity hits, so you don't have to worry about any additional sanity loss. It's just to see whether the book has any information on that particular subject or not. So if there's anything in particular you would like to look into, you certainly can.
Me being Canadian and us being in England, I am just assuming I have a flask of gin on me, and I will pass it over to Luther to calm him down a little bit.
He'll drink it.
Yeah, I figured military 1920 probably, yes.
All of it. He's in shock at the moment, basically. So while you guys are looking at stuff, he's pacing the room. He's looking out the windows. He opens the curtains, shuts the curtains, opens the door, looks both ways, slams the door. He's just panic.
If there's something in English that nobody else is reading right now, I will try to read that. A scroll or something.
Evelyn will try to collate everyone's notes. If you find any references to the Dark Pharaoh in particular,
It's 1920. I'm looking for reference to Greta Garbo.
and Captain Brad, would you like to put some coffee on? Would that help?
What?
What?
What? Sorry,
Coffee.
coffee. Yeah, I'll get coffee. You keep reading.
Lovely. Thank you so much.
All right. So the books that you have in English, amongst as you kind of spread everything out onto your bed and table, you've got Africa's Dark Secrets, Amongst the Stones, the Book of Dizon, Life as a God, and the Narcotic manuscripts. Some of them you got in the Penny Foundation. Some of them are from the Carlisle Library.
Necrotic manuscript sounds like something I'd like to read. I'm sure that's a sanity check waiting to happen.
Reading a book is always a sanity check waiting to happen.
Yeah, tell me about it. I read Hawthorne recently. Scarlet Letter, don't do it. Do you want me to make a sanity check?
It's actually, I've got it automated here.
Uh-oh. That ain't good.
Ooh. 7 sanity loss.
Ouch.
That was painful.
Right.
So what did I learn for 7 sanity?
Just one sec. You temporarily lose control of yourself briefly.
Isn't that like a derangement for the day or something like that, or something severe?
No, his
I
sanity.
think I just peed myself.
Maybe you can start having conversations with you instead of with me.
But it does mean that I need to roll on a table. Do me a favor, roll a d10.
Lucky 7.
Alrighty.
It's Call of Cthulhu. 7 can't be lucky, right?
Right. So Bill grabs
Nothing lucky in Call of Cthulhu.
Bill grabs this copy of the narcotic manuscripts,
Hey, he's got Popeye cartoons.
and he's reading it for an hour or so, and then you just see everybody who's kind of in the room with him, and I'm assuming everybody's kind of hanging out together as you read various books.
I imagine we're in kind of a joined kitchen living room with things opened up and spread out. And
Yep. Coffee going and
coffee brewing.
Luther's pacing.
yep.
Gives them lots of room to pace.
Right. And then, Bill, you read something that disturbs you on a fundamental level. And you know that by reading this, you have drawn attention to yourself. It knows where you
Oh, great.
It knows where you are, it knows who you are, and you just basically get up and just bolt out of the room.
Yeah, fuck this noise. It's been good, it's been great, but see ya!
What are the rest of you doing as you see Bill just drop the book and just
I just turned into Barnacle without all the Dragonborn stuff.
just run?
Salvatore, should I shoot him or do you want to go fetch it?
Oops.
I'll get up and try and fetch and see what's going on.
Evelyn will go over to what he was reading.
You sure that's a good idea?
We need the information that's in these books, don't we?
I'll try not to shoot you.
I would have.
I'm trying to find a
greatly
plane. I'm
appreciate
trying to
that.
hook a plane to French Morocco. Is what I'm trying to do.
Modern day Bill would be on the cell phone. He did it.
Oh, that's not too bad. So yeah, so Bill just bolts out of the room. Probably like once he kind of hits the fresh air, you kind of stop. You kind of like center yourself. You like feel the ground under your feet. Salvatore is coming up behind you. You kind of snap back to your senses fairly quickly.
I thought I heard my mom call me.
Forget, does Bill speak any other languages besides English?
I can't remember actually. Let me look. I don't think. No, just English.
I don't
Yeah. So
understand a word he's saying.
if Salvador doesn't speak English,
Nope.
then
I just I try to put a reassuring hand on your shoulder and smile a little bit and just try to do a nod that says I understand.
I will say vodka with a W. Vodka. Por favor. Hoping you have some.
Ah, see. I'll go inside and I'll look for a liquor cabinet for it.
Missed my gin already.
I like that our current plan is to read a bunch of occult books and drink out the sanity loss that happens.
Alcoholism is going to get us long before Cthulhu ever does.
All right, drink shot.
You can't.
Actually,
you can't lose.
Anita, I think you and I
can't
did
lose
that in
sanity
1991 in
reading.
Woodstock, didn't we?
I think so. Yes.
I was going to say, I'm sure there's a rule. You can't lose sanity reading a book if you're too drunk to understand, right?
Kind of, yeah.
I'm pretty sure we pounded back some champagne while reading Stephen Cunningham Wicca books back in 1991.
Yeah, totally did. 91 and 92 was a whole lot of alcohol and pagan stuff.
Heretics.
Mm-hmm. Quite.
Quite. Yep, absolutely.
So Evelyn,
I think we had a lot of music from the late 60s, early 70s playing while we did so. Yes.
And a lot of Concrete Blonde.
Yes.
since you've already read this book, you've already taken the sanity hit for it.
Yep.
So
Yep, I have. It knows who I am, it knows where I am.
What did I read that cost me 7 sanity? I'm really curious to know.
The Dark Pharaoh plans to marry Evelyn and her brother in disguise. I don't know.
So
That's what Evelyn thinks.
So the body of the text that Bill was reading, it's like a jumble of mythology outlining the history of kingdoms and civilizations before the rise of man. There's like a catalog of like various races that lived on Earth before humans. And it's a mythology, there's tales of like various legendary figures and inhuman monsters and that sort of thing.
I am literally like a foot and a half away from like Robert D. Howard's Call collection, which is pretty much what that book is.
So, the thing that kind of disturbed you is that
It's Evelyn's fault.
they talk about the earliest days of the Earth, and there's like a kind of fragmentary chronology of the arrival of various gods and stuff, as well as descriptions of wars between the various powers. There is a chaotic and completely incomprehensible genealogy of these various entities, and there's some names that kind of jump out of you, like Cthulhu and Azathoth, Nyarlathotep, so on and so forth, various names from the mythos. The author, who was like a 15th century scholar, had a surprisingly uncanny knowledge of history, mythology, geology, chemistry, and biology. One such civilization that he mentions talks about a great city in Terra Australis, or the Antipodes. It also clearly, in the 15th century, describes Antarctica.
Oh Jesus! I read too much H.P. Lovecraft. I actually know what's going on. It's scaring me.
There are maps in like modern day have found maps of Antarctica that should never have existed.
Yeah, I know.
It's
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah.
Like how the fuck
never
did
read
they know?
Never read The Mountains of Madness by H.P. Lovecraft if you want to go to Antarctica.
But yeah, so
Chris.
yes.
The things that are described in this, do they sound? Is there anything that sounds familiar from Evelyn's jaunt into the past? Like any of the species, for instance, that are described remind her of the bizarre lizard men that she saw?
Didn't you go to a jungle and not Antarctica?
Yeah, but I don't know where that jungle was.
There are references, passing references, to a race of serpent people who are said to be extremely intelligent beings, highly advanced, predate known human civilization by tens of thousands of years.
Oh, not 200 million?
I'm going to say, if that race gets mentioned to me, do they sound at all like that old woman that we fought in that house?
Absolutely, yes.
I think this might be the part that disturbed him. Or that at
Maybe.
least triggered him to run. And Evelyn will point out the passage about the snake people.
I figure like what's going on is Bill is just starting to come to terms with what he had seen, because as soon as he was in trouble, he started bargaining. He started to hustle and bluff, right? And now he's reading all this shit, and it's like, wait, that actually happened? Holy shit!
Bill, you all right?
Got any of that gin left?
Not this one, but I'm sure we could find another bottle.
Yeah, that would help. In fact, let's do rye this time.
Pick your poison, but these books don't make any sense. I mean, world began with Adam and Eve. There's nothing that predates it.
Yeah, Adam and Godzilla.
Godzilla doesn't exist yet.
Don't remember seeing Godzilla in the book. No.
Behemoths.
And I'll get everybody to give me a knowledge roll.
Sorry, who's rolling that? I just had to step away for a sec.
Everybody. So
Where's knowledge on our character sheet?
it would be an intelligence roll.
I was going to say.
I
What's
was looking
that?
for knowledge. Going, oh god, too many games. Can't find them.
Holy crap! It's a rare character where my constitution is bigger than my intelligence.
So you can tell it was rolled randomly.
I got
Pretty much.
an extreme success. I'm not sure.
Yes, you and Bill both did, actually.
Salvatore is smart as shit. Again.
Not bad for a boxer.
So, as you're kind of like mulling over this information, as Evelyn is like, mentioning it, and Bill is kind of going like, drink. The reference to an elder one civilization and fragments of a great city in Terra Australis or antipodes. That's like Australia, New Zealand, that area. And you know that the Penhew Foundation was at the very least shipping some things to Australia. And the Professor Cows, who's currently at Arkham and planning to go back to Australia soonish, was renowned for his work discussing various cults of the South Pacific. And in the meantime, was there anything that Salvatore or Evelyn were looking for in the books while Bill was reading his?
I'm trying to collate information about the Dark Pharaoh.
Okay.
Since he's factored into a lot of things for me lately.
I was thinking something similar, like find more references to Witchmaker, Bloody Tongue, Three-Eyed Shadow, and Dark Pharaoh, and see if there's any correlations or clues we can come up with.
All right. So both of you can roll percentile dice. It's not a skill roll. It's just basically to determine whether or not the information is in the book you're reading.
How do I do that in this case?
At the bottom of the chat in Foundry, you'll see a little like dice chart, the dice symbols. Just click the percentile dice.
Yeah, I see.
There doesn't seem to be any additional references other than what you've already got in your various books. Just enough to realize that the Dark Pharaoh does have multiple names. You don't know which name might be. You don't know which name might be the progenitor, or whether they're all equal. Like, like when you go through mythology, you can tell that Zeus came before Jupiter. There's no such correlation here. You don't know which of the various names came first. But you don't find any additional references to other names that might be used.
So I'm sorry, Chris. Terra Australis. That references Australia or like
it's
an unknown continent.
No, that's Australia. That's the Middle English term for the area.
Sorry, and how is it referenced again?
There was a great civilization of these precursors to humanity. Their civilization, there's said to be remnants of civilization there.
So I'm not going to lie. I don't know what our next move is.
Well,
Well, that's great because we have Alvin. Alvin is going to show up and save us because we need
Alvin!
What did I do?
We need your string board that connects all the different.
We need your
clues that we have.
exasperation and decision making. Let's not go to Australia. That's pretty much what I've heard.
Oh yeah, we need to finish what we have in London.
Yes. Before it finishes us, ideally.
So anyone want to set the scene for Alvin to walk in here?
Yeah, so we're in a big room, like a kitchen, living room, kind of open space, and everyone except for Luther is kind of poring over books. Everyone's talking. Everyone looks a little bit shell shocked. Luther is pacing from window, open blind, shut the blind, open door, look out, shut the door. We look like we need some help.
My food and put
And
Very frazzled.
Need some direction.
Oh, okay. So what? So we're investigating the books that we were talking about. Did we discover anything interesting so far?
well, one of the books that Bill read that disturbed him discussed a pre-human civilization of monsters and such that warred amongst themselves, and we found references to Antarctica from books dating to the 15th century.
Okay. Alvin's gonna say. Okay, let me rephrase. I apologize for asking too broad a question. What is interesting that can lead us to the cults in London?
Something invisible tried to strangle me and Miss Collins.
And me.
And you. And I would like to figure out how to kill that thing. But apparently these books can't figure it out. They're trying to figure it out. But books.
Yes.
Huh.
Nothing we've seen here so far screams this is related to London.
Okay, so we have. So if there's nothing that screams this is what we're sending to London, then this is what London is sending elsewhere. Do you guys think that's fair? Because they were shipping stuff all over the world. So maybe this was
It looked as though they were shipping these things out. They were among the items that Luther and Salvatore took from the basement of the Penny Foundation.
So it
I kind
looks
of
like
think that
The only link to London that I've seen so far from doing reading is it mentions a race of serpent people, one of which sounds kind of similar to that old woman from that house that we had that unfortunate encounter with.
The creatures that I saw in the painting.
I kind of think that everything's trying to send us to Cairo, and definitely not Australia.
What?
okay. So let's not do Cairo or Australia yet. If I think of this as an operation, like a clandestine operation, like you would, I don't know, like an alcohol run, you would have a still that would make the alcohol. You would then ship that to a storage area because you don't want your storage and your still to be in the same area. And then you would ship out from the storage area. So what you were explaining to me, it sounds like you guys raided the storage area.
I mean, that seems fair, right?
So we didn't get where this is coming from. It's just the in-between spot before it spreads out. Does that kind of match what you guys saw at the museum?
And it's shipping out of Chaudhry's warehouse in Limehouse? Lime something.
Yeah, Limehouse sounds right.
I mean, that seems close. Yeah.
But the Penhue Foundation was getting this stuff from somewhere because they've had a 6-month contract on this truck.
Right.
But we don't know how often they're shipping out. They might be shipping out nightly, they might be shipping out weekly. Although why they'd bother getting a truck for 6 months if they were only shipping out weekly, I don't know. I'm not a business person, obviously, but that seems a bit wasteful.
There is reasons for that. It's less conspicuous if you rent it out for 6 months as opposed to.
All right, that's a good enough excuse for me. But again, we don't know.
But those are two different problems, right? There's origination and destination are two separate problems. Origination could come from, like you said, Cairo, or it could come from somewhere else, and destination could be all over the world.
It speaks to the volume of what they're sending out.
Mr. Sheriff, the big priority, right? Like if we're picking like and we're putting in numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4. The big one is that there's a thing out there that can strangle us, and we can't see it.
We have dust that would let us see it.
We don't know
Obviously,
how to kill it. Can bullets work?
I don't know. That I have no idea. But we do have dust that theoretically at least should let us see it.
Well, whatever that thing was, it knows who we are. We were careful when we came to London. We were, for us, we were pretty good.
For us.
I mean, outside that pen you think, but I mean,
is Dr. Carter with us?
No, he is not.
Okay.
He's doing translation work with his fellows at Oxford.
Perfect.
There is someone that has some sway that is manipulating things to make sure our lives is difficult. I don't know who that person is, but apparently they have an invisible person.
Okay. So let's call the octopus priority 0. Okay? Does that make you feel better, Luther? So we can figure out what else are top of the priority list and then try to figure out from the top down?
What do you mean by octopus?
Well, it had tentacles.
Oh, the thing that's priority 0? Like, is that 0 being the highest or 0 being the lowest?
Yes. There's priority 1 and there's priority 0, which supersedes priority 1.
Okay, I'm good with that.
Okay, so let's just put this down on the board here. Do we have a cork board or anything like that I put a cork board and I put a pin on a piece of paper and I say octopus. Put it at the top. Okay, great. Take another piece of paper and I say source of material. I put a pin on that and I put it below the octopus, but like half a board down. Next to it, I put another piece of paper and I say, I put outside cults, outside of London cults, and I put it next to the destination. We are currently in London. We can disrupt the global shipping of these things if we deal with this here. These people sound like they know what they're doing. It sounds like they are well funded. And if we can disrupt what's going on here, it doesn't matter what happens at the source. Yes, they'll be able to rebuild. More won't be coming from the source. And your destinations won't get worse with this stuff existing. To be able to deal with what we have today, we need to figure out what our targets are. Then we need to figure out how we resolve those targets. And before that, we have to figure out how we stay alive to actually do that so the octopus doesn't strangle us all to death while we're asleep. Does that sound like a 1, 2, 3 plan?
You must love Arthur Conan Doyle's books.
Well, I don't know how we're going to get to those things. I'm just saying these are the things we need to do. I'm not smart enough. I'm no Sherlock Holmes that can tell you, like, someone's cigarette butt ended up and he's the killer. Like, I can't do that. But I can say we can spend our time and our energy doing this because this is going to get us killed if we don't do it. And this is a problem for tomorrow.
That's a good way to prioritize. We will die if we don't do this.
Correct. So
and paying for the newspaper delivery can wait till tomorrow.
That's right. Not everything is a priority 1, otherwise our hair is going to be on fire. Okay.
All right, Mr. Sharp.
What do we know about the octopus? We know it can attack multiple people at the same time. We know it's more or less invisible.
I don't think I was there for that. So
Nope.
No.
We know.
So, Mr.
We
Sharp,
know.
I love everything you're saying. I love it. I think you're on the wrong on the right track. I have not slept more than 4 hours in the last 36. So I'm going to lay on this couch, that one over there. I'm points to the corner, and You just wake me up when you get this shit figured out. I need to sleep so badly.
Get some rest, Luther.
And
we know it's mostly invisible until
welcome
it's
back.
right up in
Thank
your
you.
grill. Thank you. We know it's mostly invisible until it's right up in your throat. So it can attack people at distance. It does so by throwing its invisible tentacles in your throat so you can't breathe. We know that you can grab it, sort of, but we also know that a knife will go straight through it. So it looks like physical things go straight through it. Chris, that's what was my understanding from what we got so far, right?
Correct.
That's its physical characteristics as far as we can tell so far. Does anyone have anything else to add to that? Evelyn or Luther, if you're still paying attention.
How...
Physical.
My memories of that are a bit fuzzy.
When it throws its tentacles, so more physical stuff, when it throws its tentacles down your throat, you can't even scream and ask for help. So we need, and you guys could figure out some way to signal to the other people in the room that you are under attack without breathing or being able to utter a sound. The next thing we need to deal with is how the hell it found us. We have, normally, someone tells something where to go unless we're under surveillance. If we are not under surveillance, what are, and I look straight at Evelyn, other ways to track us that is not through direct surveillance? Evelyn? Stallings?
Yes.
What are other ways to track us that are not through direct surveillance?
That depends on how much you believe in the supernatural.
Right, so I'm going to go with invisible octopuses that try to strangle me or put me on the believer column.
Yeah, that's kind of the supernatural, isn't it?
I would think.
So let's assume, for sake of argument sake, let's assume that yes, that's possible. Have we heard of some way to track us remotely without direct visual reconnaissance? Because if I remember correctly, Dr. Carter was dealing with something having to do with blood or something that ended up getting people to our hotel room a few weeks ago. But I don't know the gist of it.
If they're followers of the Pharaoh, then he might be telling them where we are.
Okay, so the Pharaoh tells people where we are. I put that on the board. What other options are there?
All manner of creatures in the spiritual realm.
Okay, spiritual creatures can track us. Okay, next.
There are a limited number of Americans in the UK.
Okay.
I would imagine that is outside of the spiritual realm, but still makes us stand out a bit.
Sure, that's a little bit more mundane.
Local.
Average Americans are few in number. Okay, well, how else could they have gotten to us?
You folk mentioned the lady at the spice shop.
Right? She didn't know where we are, though. That would be direct reconnaissance. Is there not some, like, mumbo jumbo or, like, Peru stuff that can magic our locations?
Likely.
Peru, mumbo jumbo, magics our locations. Put that on the board. Is there anything else we can think of? Okay, great. That's enough. So I'm going to deal with the mundane one. I'm going to deal with the mundane one. As long as
Okay.
we stay hidden, people don't know where we are. So that's easy. How do we
Hidden.
protect ourselves from the Pharaoh sharing our place or location for some people? How do we prevent the spirits world from telling people where we are? And how do we prevent magic mumbo jumbo from pointing us out on a map? I'm going to leave that to the smart people, but those are things that we need to deal with.
Can I make a lore roll or something?
You can make an occult roll.
Can I? I'll roll it, but I don't expect to make this since I have a
I would-
5.
I would
My
like to
own-
try that.
My
And a
only
couple.
suggestion is what is the natural predator of the octopus? And I have nothing.
Well,
I'll roll occult too, even though I don't think I'm going to be able to do it.
Okay.
Actually, I don't know what the natural predator of an octopus is. You'd think I'd know that, but I don't.
drove and seemed to get us away from whatever it was.
Okay, so that's good. It might not be fast. That's an advantage that we have. It's not a disadvantage.
We can't exactly stay in the vehicle all the time, though. That would get a bit crowded very quickly.
And your vehicle is
We need a
destroyed.
bunch. Yes,
Yeah, our vehicle
and
is
our vehicle is no longer in service, and we would need a much larger one to effectively. And I mean, we could book passage on a train, but then we'd have to live on it, and that does not seem practical.
Because if this thing can, or if these people can divine our location from no matter where we are, then it doesn't matter where we are, they can send this thing there. So we need some way to prevent them from telling it. Wow, this is so obtuse. Prevent them, who is unknown, to tell it, who is unknown, to find us.
Alright, so Evelyn, if you're being tracked magically, there's a variety of things that might work, provided nobody, left blood or a personal item behind. That can definitely be used for sympathetic magic. If you're being divined, it's entirely possible, like being in a circle of salt might disrupt the magical energies. And a sec. Let me just check your books.
Hey, Chris, let me know when I can do something. I got a question.
Sure, go ahead.
So I have this book, the Sélection de Livres d'Yvon.
Yep.
It's got a spell in it. I'm curious what it does, and I'm not sure if I can click on it to read it. It's called Fog of Misdirection.
I like the sound of that.
All right. So the fog of misdirection, from your understanding, basically summons forth a dense mist, kind of in front of you. But thinking about it, there is a spell in there that seems to erect some sort of physical and magical defense barrier.
The Nyarlathotep one?
That's the one.
So one of the French books I read has got some spells in it, and one in particular might assist us with staying hidden, at least from other magic, fighting magic with magic. I was pondering if if there is such a thing, but it might work if necessary. I don't know if it's a personal thing or if it would be an area or like a group or what.
Alvin puts his head in his hands. Okay, we're at spells now.
Luther is blissfully sleeping.
We've been beyond what you can perceive and understand with your eyes and ears since Peru.
Yeah. I agree. It's just
If we can translate that spell, I'll take a look at it and see how effective it might be. We could certainly create a barrier of salt, but someone would need to go and get salt because I greatly doubt they have enough of it here.
Okay, so that's just something we can do for this room, right? We can salt the room.
The room would be the easiest because it's a very finite location. The house, we could just go around the entire border of the foundation. But we need a great deal of salt to do that.
Okay. Let's get some salt. Let's do that first. At least we'll be able to pursue our other avenues potentially safely. Is this going to work, or is this a maybe?
Everything we do right now is a maybe.
Okay, let's start with the salt, and then you know what? Salt is something that I can get. I can buy salt. You guys can read these books and figure it out, right?
Just keep in mind we need to carry it back.
Just as a note, it's also 11:30 on a Wednesday evening. You're not buying salt anywhere.
Okay, fine. Fair. When the store's open, we can buy salt.
Freaking London.
It's not New York. New York can find anything at any time.
But if Salvatore can translate the spell that creates a mystical barrier, then I can take a look at it, see what we need, and possibly do it.
Okay, so we are going to then tonight sleep in shifts, I guess, so we don't get strangled while we sleep.
I think that might be ideal.
Tomorrow we get some salt and we explore how to stop the Pharaoh from telling anyone where we are. I don't know how you do that. Stop the ghosts or spirits from telling everyone where we are. I don't know how we do that, but at least we stopped potentially one of the ones, the diviny magic-y one. So we're a third better off. Guys, I'm grasping at straws here. We're talking about stuff that I only understand like in the periphery of.
I think we left what everyone was familiar with quite a bit ago.
So let's start with that. Let's sleep in shifts, and we get salt tomorrow, and we try to deal with that.
God and country, I got it.
All right. So it does take time to learn how to cast a spell, but once Salvatore learns how to cast it, he can teach somebody else. So it's just a question of whether he wants to basically stay up all night learning it.
And it uses
Sure,
which
why
skill?
not?
Sorry, what was that?
I said I'm willing to stay up, and I think Evelyn was asking what skill I would need to roll.
It actually doesn't use the skill, it uses your power attribute.
Oh. Okay.
An attribute we've
Well, that's
never used before. Just what is everyone's power attribute? Just FYI, just out of sheer
40.
curiosity.
Mine's 55.
65.
My occult's 77, though.
65, Salvatore?
My occult's 5.
Sal, did you say 65?
For my power, yes. My occult is only 5.
So I'm at 60. So you and I are the best potential spell casters? Is that how this works, Chris?
Yep, because very, very important thing. The Cthulhu mythos and magic is not the occult. The occult isn't real.
And
Hush!
neither is
I'm looking
Cthulhu stuff.
scandalized.
There's only one God, ma'am, and I don't think he dresses like that.
I just love the
Technically,
fact that I'm
Cthulhu is
apparently,
not a god. He's the high priest of a god.
I just love the fact that I'm apparently the smartest on paper and one of the most powerful mystically, and I'm just a big box.
Yeah, I think you made an amazing character for this game. I mean, Salvatore's the MVP.
All right. So it is going to take Salvatore some time to learn the spell.
So Alvin's going to keep watch until Luther wakes up.
Okay.
He's not going to sleep tonight.
Okay. All right. So everybody except for Salvatore and Alvin gets some sleep.
Yeah.
Luther's been up for so long.
All right. So as you study this this magic.
Daddy, wait, Daddy. I ate some of the pastas over there.
Oh,
All right.
so the spell. Let me just find it here.
Oh, shoot. I walked over there without muting myself. My apologies, guys.
No worries.
My son was yelling at me, and then he was yelling at my face.
I'm just trying to find the spell in the book here. There we go. Create a berry of Noctith. The spell, it seems to create a spherical barrier about 100 yards in diameter.
That's huge.
Yep.
Literally a football field.
And essentially it works as both a physical barrier and a magical barrier.
What do you mean if... You know what? I should not ask questions. I'll ask questions for Mark after.
Yep. So, Salvatore, your understanding is like, if you successfully manage to make this spell manifest, at the slight cost of some sanity, it can stop bullets. It can stop like a charging rhinoceros. It's like a physical and magical barrier.
That sounds useful.
Is it stationary or does it move with those who are inside?
It is stationary. And it will take. It does take some time for the magical energy to coalesce. So it takes about a minute or so to cast.
So it's not good for, let's say, moving, but it's good if we're in an area and we don't want to be able to be spotted.
Correct. You could still be spotted, but nothing could physically get to you unless it overcame the barrier.
Yeah, but in theory, if it's a magical barrier, like the way you made it sound is it might protect us from things that would scry on us through magic.
Yes. It doesn't. It wouldn't stop somebody from like physically spotting you, but it would, to the best of your knowledge, prevent somebody from magically discovering you.
Right, okay.
Also, you're fairly certain that you can choose to, basically when you cast it, you center it on a location, on a place. So you could, in theory, cast it around something else and keep it contained.
Like hide the building?
Hide the building, or, if you've got enough time and there's like, an invisible fog thing coming towards you, you could cast it around the invisible fog thing if you knew where it was and keep it contained within that area.
You bottle it.
Oh, cool.
All that's left for you to do is to actually successfully cast it. The way magic works, the first time you cast a spell, and only the first time, you need to make a roll. If you succeed, you cast a spell. If you fail, you can choose to push the roll.
Oh boy.
If you push a spellcasting roll, the spell will work. Doesn't matter what you roll. But if you fail that roll, there's a little table I roll on.
Can you spend luck on a spell roll?
You can, yes.
Before you push.
Yep.
All right,
Yep.
let's do this.
So by the time the wee hours of the morning come, you think that you've got the basics of it. I mean, you're a little bit skeptical. I mean, magic, really? and this spell seems to call on a somewhat dark deity. Give me 1 sec here. Named Aklanaka, which seems to be, and Anita may want to cover her ears, a grotesquely huge and hideous spider with a remotely human face and the red eyes rimmed with hair.
That sounds horrible.
It is believed to be the ruler of all spiders. And this spell seems to call upon her to weave a protective web around you.
What's it called? What's the name of the deity again?
Atlak Naka.
So like right out of Narnia or something. Ugh.
Actually, it sounds like that horrible spider spirit that would steal your face from Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yep.
If anyone remembers that episode.
I actually haven't watched that yet.
People keep telling me I should watch it, I just haven't yet.
So
Yeah,
I was the same way. I only watched it about 6 months ago. You open it up on the Netflix Chrome, not the native application for your computer. You can watch it at twice speed, so it actually goes much faster. But it is very good.
Excellent. All right, so I guess yes, you can open your ears again there.
Oh, thanks.
Yep.
Okay.
So I guess the only question is at the wee hours of the morning at 4:41 a.m. Is Salvatore going to try to cast the spell?
Yep.
If Alvin is still awake, right? So he's going to ask, how long does this last?
Between 5 and 9 hours.
Okay. And what happens to the other people who are going to use this place? Or do they just like walk into a wall?
Yep.
So we got to pick out the right space? Or do we get to determine how wide this is? Or automatically are cars going to crash in the middle of the street if we extend too far?
I would say, given the secrecy of the safe house you guys have, it'll cover the safe house and like the yard.
So we can shape it. Or is it really just 100 yards as a sphere?
It's a 100-yard sphere.
Salvatore, can we? I know you've never done this before, but there's no way to make it smaller?
From the way this reads, nope.
Okay. Well, if you cast it here, Chris, we're gonna about 100 yards in every direction from Salvatore is doing it. First of all, is there other people who use this house, or are we the only ones here?
You guys are the only ones.
Wonderful. 2, if we can't, like we said, you extend about 100 yards in every direction. That's about the house and the yard. How far off do we bleed off in other places?
It's a 100-yard diameter, not radius.
Okay, sorry. 50-yard radius.
Yeah.
And we're going to be do we bleed off too conspicuously? Do we cut off a road or anything like that, and people won't be able to walk on the sidewalk or anything like that? Or is it generally okay if we were to cast it here?
It would be okay to cast here.
Perfect. Okay, Salvatore, it's your show. I'm looking around, and I think that we're in the right spot. I don't think we're going to be too conspicuous.
All right.
All right. I roll up my sleeves, I crack my knuckles, and do what needs to do. Chanting, moving my hands, verbal, somatic, whatever.
All right. So you need to make a hard power roll. So you need to roll half or less than your power.
Can you use luck on that?
He can if he needs to. It depends on what he rolls and how much luck he has. Oh, so you would have to spend.
If it was a regular thing, it would be not a big deal to spend luck, but
So yeah, you would have to spend. Looks like 46 luck.
I have 43.
Oh.
So you can push it if you like. Note though, if you fail, you need to find another source for the spell and relearn it. Like if you choose not to push it, sorry. If you choose not to push it, then whatever the instructions, you didn't translate them properly, you need to find another source to kind of cross-reference and relearn the spell from a different source.
Go big or go home. I'm gonna push.
All right, so you can make the roll again.
Do I just click my attribute again, or something in the chat box?
Nope, just click your attribute again.
That's closer.
All right. So the spell works normally. However, there is a side effect.
However,
Yes, Trustius.
All right. So
I deforest a portion of a London park.
I'm gonna eat that forest. I'm so much. Sorry, wrong game.
all right. So for your first casting the spell, like you're not exactly sure how it works. How many magic points do you have?
Uh, 13.
All right. So you basically like just kind of channel your all into this because you don't know how strong it's going to be. So you spend 13 magic points. Which does, just so you know for future reference when you have more control over it, every magic point you spend gives the barrier 3d10 strength.
Holy
Oh
crap!
God. Okay.
So it is a super strong, super rigid barrier.
We're building a steel wall, is what you're saying.
Oh, you also lose 10 points of sanity in the process. As visions of this giant,
Not spider thing.
this giant deity is basically kind of superimposing itself over you and using your hands to like weave this barrier.
Sorry, 10 points. You said
10 points of sanity. I mean, thankfully, that is not enough to cause indefinite insanity, but it does cause temporary insanity. And last but not least, roll a d8 for me.
It's the gift that keeps on giving.
Oh, I get to sleep through all of this. It's so good.
Maybe we'll
You know
see
what's
what-
going to be the funny part?
sorry,
When we try to
D8.
go get
Yeah, d8.
funny part's when we're going to try to go get salt and we can't leave.
Ooh, interesting. All right. So Alvin, Salvatore, he starts to intone this spell, and then his voice takes on this like deeper, more guttural cadence, and then it sounds like there's two voices coming out of his mouth at the same time, kind of like self-harmonizing. And if it wasn't so disturbing at the way that his body contorts and the way that his bones crack as he's weaving this magic, it would be almost almost enthralling. And as this barrier starts to settle into place, the strong smell of brimstone just fills the area.
Brimstone?
Brimstone.
Which is sulfur and smells like rotten eggs.
Yeah, no. I got it.
And after that, he just collapses.
Okay, I'm
Salvatore,
gonna rush over to him.
yeah. Salvatore, you have no memory of what exactly happened. You just remember, the last thing you remember is this majestic being kind of settling over your form. Tiny little pinchers kind of grabbing into your soul as it directs your movements. And you kind of blissfully pass out. And when you finally come to, Alvin is kind of standing over you. We'll go from there.
Are you okay? Sal, are you okay?
When I regain consciousness, I like bolt up and I'm like, I'm sweating. I've got like a shocked look on my face, and I just take a quick look at Alvin, and I just get up and I go right to the liquor cabinet, and I go and I grab a bottle of something hard.
You don't need to go far. Alvin's got you covered. Did it work?
Can I tell if it works?
You know it worked.
Yes, it worked.
Okay. Sit down here on the couch. I'll be right back. So Alvin grabs a pencil somewhere, walks over to the edge of wherever, and tries to poke in the air to wherever the barrier is supposed to be.
Okay. Just to do quick math. 30, 57.
Hey, Chris, does each magic point increase the duration, or is it just still a fixed 5 to 9 hours depending on something like roll or what have you?
It's a D4 plus 4 hours. The magic points affect the strength.
Thank you. It was very good.
That's a lot of dice.
So yeah, Alvin, you walk over to the edge, and you push the pencil, and it stops. Like no amount of force, no amount of leaning on it is getting through that barrier.
That's great and terrible at the same time. So I come back to Sal. Sal, I think it worked. I think it worked too well. Let's try to have
I
breakfast.
don't think this has any leeway to it. I think it is as you get it.
Okay. Let's hope we have enough food inside for breakfast, because I don't think we're getting out.
At worst, we should be in here for about half a day, I figure.
And you can do this at will?
I don't know about at will. It costed me a great amount of my energy to do it, so it
How do you
depends
feel?
on how taxing.
How do you feel? I touch his head to see if he has a fever or anything like I have no medical training whatsoever.
A little bit of a fever.
Look, you're a little bit warm. A little bit warm. Get you a glass of water. You see a glass of water to put with that whiskey.
Sure.
Why did you just say bout of madness on my screen?
I was removing the bout of madness. The bout of madness was the temporary amnesia that Salvatore has, so he doesn't know what exactly happened. when he was casting the spell, and nobody else was in a position to see anything. So,
Yay.
It's fine.
Okay, so we're gonna wait for everyone. I'm gonna try to figure out some breakfast. Considering I don't know if we bought anything beforehand or are we stuck in here starving for the next half day.
there's food stocks.
Okay, good. So I try to make breakfast, and as soon as I think Luther has slept enough, I'm gonna wake him up and I'm gonna take a nap myself.
What?
When you wake up, the place reeks of sulfur.
Ask Salvatore. I need to take my nap myself.
Chris, what's the last thing I do remember? Like chanting, like incanting something, or
You remember chanting, and the spell is like burned in your brain now. You know that you can do it again, and that the kind of giant creature kind of settling its spiritual form over yours and starting to take control of your emotions.
so I do remember the creature.
You do.
And you do remember it controlling you.
Yep.
Miss Collins. Miss Collins,
It's
you.
still asleep, I think.
All right. She.
I imagine she's curled up in an armchair with a book in her hands.
Can anyone explain why this? What is going on? Please, just layman's terms. Dial it down.
Alvin, Alvin tips up his hat and he says, "Magic, ask Salvatore." And he puts his hat back over his head and lies down on the couch where Luther was, and proceeds to sleep.
Right. Okay. Salvatore, did you do a thing, or did something else do a thing?
Yes, at the request of others, I cast the spell to try to see if I can shield us from being found magically, as well as to possibly protect us from whatever invisible octopus thing tried to kill several of you.
Oh, great! It's 5 a.m. and I need a drink already. Okay.
Been there.
Help yourself. I've been drinking ever since I cast it.
Okay. You whatever you've done, you just go to bed. It's time for you to sleep.
No, it's time for a drink or three.
And Alvin wasn't cruel. It was 5:30.
Oh, 5:30. Well, I mean, that's better.
5 p.m.
It's better.
somewhere, like Australia.
All right, Sal, you do you, and get some sleep. And
The good news is that it worked.
because this place smells like garbage.
You might not be able to open the windows for a few hours. The good news is the spell worked.
What? What do you mean spell? Actually, I don't care. Does it matter to me for this very second?
I just explained that people were asking on how we can hide and stay protected from invisible things that try to kill us. So I had an idea from one of the French books. I tried it, and good news, I think it worked. As I pound back another drink and I pour another shot.
Okay. Can you like just really slowly explain this to me?
There is a spell in one of the French books. It is designed to create a magical barrier around a certain area that will do multiple things, such as protect us or protect anybody within that barrier from both magical effects, such as, invisible octopus things, as well as a physical barrier. So theoretically, if this worked the way I think it worked, someone shoots a gun at you from a distance and it's going to hit this barrier and just bounce off. Depending on how much of my slash anybody's, let's call it essence, I guess, being gets thrown into it, makes it more powerful. No matter what, it's going to last at least a quarter day, maybe a half day. That I don't have any control over.
Well, I mean, sure. Why not? Why not? Have your drink. Miss Collins and I will have some breakfast, and I think everyone. Bill, how you doing?
I could use some liquor breakfast myself.
Okay, let's everybody have liquor breakfast, and I am just gonna
Yeah,
make sure no
Mel.
one dies because I have no idea what's going on.
We might not be able to leave the apartment for a few hours.
Yeah, just finish your drink and go back to bed. It's fine. Everyone get some sleep. We'll figure out the plan. When Alvin, once he wakes up, he'll figure it out. He's good at that. He's got a whole board and everything.
The board has like 4 post-its on it.
Yeah, four really sparse post-its.
So, you guys can have breakfast, discuss whatever it is you would like to discuss. If there's nothing super pressing, we'll say at around 11 or so is when the barrier drops, but it's also when everybody is awake and functional again. Salvatore, in the meantime, you have regained 5 magic points.
Woohoo!
Yay! Do I have any bad like nightmares or anything?
No, because your brain does not remember any of the bad stuff that may or may not have happened to you.
Yeah.
I figured because I remember a spider thing clutching my soul.
Well, oddly enough, fairly peaceful. Welcoming and warm.
Sorry, you said I get 5 points back?
Yep.
Oh,
What the points?
But yeah, it's like 11 o'clock when everybody is awake and functional again.
I love when a game takes you down a character arc you had no plans on doing.
In Call of Cthulhu, eventually somebody has to cast the spells, and eventually somebody has to read the books.
I still just think it's funny that I made a boxer and I'm not super physical, but I'm smart and mystical apparently.
Actually, I've seen you fight. You're pretty good at that too.
Okay. So, Alvin, Miss Collins,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to describe this last 12 hours as fuckery.
I agree. I write fuckery, I put it on the board.
Perfect. That's great. Is this something that I even need to understand or interact with or deal with, or Alvin, do you have a way forward?
We bought time. If this works, we bought time to figure out the other 2 points on this board, which says, how do we stop the Pharaoh from telling people where we are? How do we stop spirits? Spirits I thought was going to be covered with salt, but we can't go get some now.
When does
Now,
this barrier fall?
as far as I can
Nice.
tell, everybody drank all night and passed out. And then
I didn't. I had 2 drinks. I was fine.
I
whatever
didn't
you're
start
saying is-
drinking until after I cast the spell.
Oh, and there's
So-
witchcraft too, I guess. But
So when the
Okay.
barrier falls is when we can get the salt.
Right. So the barrier should cover us until. So we have time now to read books and figure out what we can find, or read papers on what we can find about London. Sure, we can find a lot of things about where this stuff is going, or the origination of. I look over at I open a book randomly. Snake people, apparently, but right now we need to figure out how to stop London.
and salt does what exactly?
Stop ghosts, apparently.
Oh,
It'll
of
help
course.
prevent spirits from being able to see us or divulge where we are.
I take it I'm not going to work today.
Well, you can try. You just can't leave.
After what happened yesterday? Are you sure you want to go back?
Not so much, but if my understanding is correct, we're safe from things I don't understand by doing things I don't understand, and you're all going to read books to figure out a way to fix the things I don't understand.
I'm gonna take Luther by the shoulder here, put my arm around him, and say, "Come with me." And I'm gonna walk outside to where I think the barrier is. I'm gonna take a penny. I'm gonna throw it and watch it bounce off.
It does not bounce off.
It doesn't?
It does not. The barrier has dropped.
Well, fuck me.
Well, that's a awful waste of a pence, right?
Well, fuck me.
I'm sorry. No,
No. Okay, let's go get some salt. Luther, can you go get us some salt?
I'm sorry, Alvin. I think we're in the wrong neighborhood, but we can find you a woman, I'm sure, at a bar or something.
No. Luther can we need some salt. Can you?
We're
How much
on
can
an
you find
island.
us
We
some
can
salt?
find salt.
how much salt do you need?
Enough to make a ring around the house. Is that right, Miss Collins? As we say as we're coming back in.
Yes. I mean,
Like
we could
the
do.
entire house. It's a lot of salt.
Yes.
I'm gonna need a truck.
Would we rather just have the living room, kitchen, washroom?
I honestly I don't know. As far as I could tell, we're surrounded by a barrier that doesn't stop pennies from.
No. The barrier apparently is gone. I swear it was there before.
The barrier is gone for now. Until
Oh,
I
you did
cast it
cast
again. Yes, I
did
did.
work.
Well,
Excellent.
it worked, yes. It's not a pleasant experience, I'll say that.
I mean, I can get salt. Just
We do need salt. Ideally, you shouldn't go alone. In case something happens.
Fine,
While
I'll
you're
come
out.
with you.
Alvin, you have to
I'm
sleep.
Yeah. Okay, I'm asleep. I'm getting a little loopy here.
Bill, Saboteur, you want to go get salt? I guess.
Yeah, I'll go out and buy like $1 worth,
Let's go get some salt.
couple
Maybe grab
pence
some
worth
lunch.
of salt.
We need enough to go around the entire house.
I'm pretty sure in
And-
1925 that's not expensive, considering we're on the freaking middle of the Atlantic.
Gonna kill all the grass, but
You'll need to carry it back. That's the thing. We don't have a working vehicle any longer.
You can ship it. That's
So
gonna be
I'll-
totally.
I'll tell him. I'll try to calculate how much salt we're gonna need because I don't. Player doesn't know like how thick this line needs to be around the house.
Yeah, I have no idea how much salt you would need, but between Bill and Salvatore, they definitely have enough free spending cash because salt at this time is like,
We're
Yeah.
loaded.
and it's like 9 cents a pound.
Sorry, are we
Um,
drawing this circle around the outside or the inside?
Outside. I mean, we could do it around the inside, but we could do both.
Oh yes, Eric, we absolutely love your crack.
In our defense, it wasn't our
Sorry,
fault.
Mark.
It was the fault of invisible octopus.
So we're going Constantine here, right? Like we're gonna grab stuff and circle the entire
Yeah,
building.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's not a problem to get the salt. Nobody even questions the amount of salt. I mean, it's used for preserving and the like, right?
Pickling.
I need 100 kilos of salt, please.
So yeah, like it's so commonplace that you don't even have to go to multiple stores.
They're like, yep, we have 4 tons of salt in the back.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the salt comes back. Salt bays come back. And I'm assuming that Evelyn can direct us on how to use the salt while Alvin is asleep.
Yes.
Is Yorick actually back, or is he just having fun?
He's just listening in.
Okay. Because we could totally use him.
I'm sorry, Miss Collins, what's the purpose of this salt again?
Creates a barrier against spirits. Keeps them from spying on us, keeps them from coming in. Much like the barrier that you construct, from my understanding. But against a different type of creature.
Apparently mine is actually good against actual physical as well as
Well,
magical.
that's nice. Anything that'll help keep physical things out would be nice. You know what we could do? We were talking about the Penhu Foundation and the warehouse and the other logistics. Could we potentially lock them out for a number of hours?
Lock them out of their own building?
Mm-hmm.
If we were in there and none of them were there at the time, in theory, yes.
So this could be useful when we go to the warehouse that is being used to ship items out. Or when we go to check the building where the safe is, that we're not sure how it factors into things.
Chris?
In theory, but the thing is we have to make sure that there's no one else within the barrier, because if there is even one person, they're trapped in there with us, or we're trapped in there with them, him, her.
Right.
Chris?
Yep.
That begs the question. You said that you can use it to jar something. How does that work if it emanates from Salvatore? Does that mean that anything that he tries to jar, he will be stuck in there with them? Or can he set a point in space?
No, he can. The barrier is centered on a space, not on Salvatore.
Ah!
Excellent.
So you could start a fire, cast a spell, and then no one would be able to come in and save the building.
Yep. Perfect. So yeah, so by the time you guys get the circle made and everything, it's like early afternoon.
Okay.
Everybody except for Salvatore is awake and rested.
Okay, great. What are our next steps? I look to the team.
Oh, Alvin, I've completely lost control of the situation. I have no idea.
Okay. Thank you for your honesty, Luther.
Could be the bourbon, but regardless,
Might be the
where,
gin.
that's where it
Could
is.
have been the 2, 4, 6 packs. I don't know.
Okay. I said before we should treat this like New York. Still think that's the case. I still think with investigation and research, we can figure out the Juju House of London. Anyone have an idea where we could start?
Anyone?
The woman who seemed to know that we were in town.
Yeah, I haven't met her yet, though. She's metagaming here. Trevor's big wish is to hang out with her, but Bill wasn't there when you met her. But I think she's an ally. She's too weird not to be.
It's a Cthulhu game. What are you talking about?
That's what we're basing things on.
Come on, it's like Scooby Doo.
You're-
I'm scared of all the like lawyers and businessmen. It's the old white people I'm scared of. I'm pretty sure everybody else is cool.
But you're not wrong. That girl at Empire Spice. I mean, that one seems to have more brains than Braun, right?
Okay. We're getting off track here. Do we think we think she's involved? I think she's involved. The guy from the Penn Foundation met up with her. It would be awkward if she was not involved in some capacity.
No, my gut tells me that she's on the edge of this, not involved, but like adjacent. Is that the right word?
Sure. The other, hey, wait a minute, Miss Collins.
Yes,
They can use magic to spy on us, right?
so it would seem.
Can we use magic to spy on them?
Possibly.
Good thought. That's a good thought.
You're all going to hell.
Why?
We're already in London.
You know why.
I don't know why. I don't
Heaven and
understand.
hell is not very difficult to understand.
Okay, regardless of heaven or hell, is this
I'm no
something that
more-
we can do, Miss Collins?
We can try. We can try.
One person we know in charge or that involved in some capacity is the leader of the Penn Foundation, right? Or the guy who's handling the accounts, right? Yes? No?
As
Gavigan,
far
yeah.
as
Here's my issue because Gavigan spoke to the girl from the spice shop. So either she's the ringleader, or if you think that she's innocent, then by default, Gavigan is also innocent because they seem to be working together. They had a discussion.
No, they seemed adjacent, not together.
They met up. He told her that the people from New York showed up. She said, keep an eye on them. He said, I will. And then they split ways.
So Gavigan seems like a bad guy. My guess. But the lady at Empire Spice, she's a bit more nebulous. I'm not exactly sure what's going on there.
I am telling you what I heard.
Yeah, you hear lots of things, Alvin. I'm telling you my gut compared to what you heard, right? One
You're
might be right,
allowed to say
one
your
might be
piece.
wrong, but it's my 2 cents.
Okay. Then Luther and Bill,
Yeah,
why don't you pay her a visit?
I'd like to meet her.
Can Miss Collins come with us because she's smart and stuff?
Absolutely. Should we all go?
Why
Is there
not?
anything else that we need to do? Because right now we're grasping at straws.
I think after the events of yesterday that we probably shouldn't split up. Although
Yeah, we
how
probably
we're
shouldn't.
all going to go anywhere unnoticed, I really don't know.
Well, we could buy a car.
We're better off staying together.
I mean, staying
Chris-
together is great, but we could buy a car, right? Like we have a lawyer
Chris-
and lots of money.
The
Yep.
tube you
Could.
said was up, right?
Sorry?
The tube?
Yeah, the tube is operational as well.
It's an excellent way to ditch people.
It certainly is.
If we notice we're being watched or followed, we split up in 6 different directions and we meet up afterwards.
What?
We can take the tube, Luther.
I thought we were already hidden.
Yes, but if we go there, they could follow us back.
Okay, so rendezvous is where exactly?
Somewhere we can drink. Let me take a look.
Hopefully, drink coffee. Here,
The Liverpool Stallion.
these people
wait.
do not like coffee.
Is that the Liverpool Saint Stallion? Gray's Inn. There you go. Where's number 5? Perfect. We can meet at Gray's Inn. Split up and we meet at Gray's Inn.
All right, let's go talk to the lady. I just fair warning. She seems smarter than all of us.
Well, she hasn't met me yet. Bill's
I think-
intelligence isn't that high.
I think it'll stick.
Chris, what
Yeah.
number is the spice place? I can't seem to find it.
I don't think it is on that list. It's in Soho. It's not in London itself.
Okay. And where are we staying on the list?
Someplace. Let's say somewhere down in this area.
Close to 43. Perfect.
Yeah.
Far away from 9. Got it.
Interesting game that the map doesn't really matter, right?
All right, so you guys are making your way to Soho and to Empire Spaces.
That's right.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right. So for those of you who have not yet been to Soho, especially at this time of the afternoon, it's a fairly busy place, fairly bohemian. Lots of crafters and artisans and that sort of thing. People from a wide cultural smorgasbord. A lot of Middle Eastern people, people from other parts of Europe. Not a lot of Americans. The spice shop itself, it's a 2-story building. There are a number of people kind of going about their business. The entrance is via the front door. When you enter, the exotic smell of spices kind of hits your nostrils. There's like jars of spices and herbs kind of lining the walls. There's all these drawers, like an old-fashioned card catalog. Also lining like the walls underneath the jars, and they're like labeled with the names of the different spices and stuff like that. And when you enter, there's a couple of customers, and a young man in his mid-20s who seems to be like helping the customers and sweeping the floor. That kind of general employee, and a stunningly beautiful woman of obvious Egyptian descent.
Hello, nurse.
Wait a second, I got some pictures. So that's the young man who's seems to be the sole employee.
Got it?
And that is the woman. She is dressed all in white. Her long hair kind of tied back in a pigtail. She is not dressed like your typical 1920s British woman. She is seems to not go in for that kind of womanly aesthetic. So, and as you enter, she kind of motions for the young man to help the customer she's dealing with. She comes over. She's like, "Oh, welcome. I did not expect you back so soon. Mr. Pratt, Miss Collins, Mr. Sharp,
Ma'am.
Mr. Caputo, and Mr. Graham, I believe."
Yeah, just Graham.
Were you looking for anything in particular?
Yeah.
Chris,
We were.
just a second. Before we come in here, can we establish who's going to be interacting with her, and if there's any kind of questions that we specifically want from her that we can set up before we jump into this conversation cold?
Sure.
So Alvin's going to say, "Who wants to do the talking here?" I look at Bill.
Thanks. Bill's just enamored, right? Bill's based on Radar O'Reilly. He's gun shy around pretty women.
Yes, but he also I think he has some of our best talking skills, doesn't he?
I don't know. Let me.
Talked his way out of getting eaten by a snake person, so.
Yeah, that's like
Mostly
kind
I
of where I'm
stalled.
leaving.
Mostly I stalled.
Look,
Yeah,
primarily
basically, I'm trying to figure out what's the goal here.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to establish. We need to figure out if she's an ally or an enemy, and then if she is an enemy, we need to get out of there.
Well, basically, so Bill will be very upfront about that. He's saying, well, if you know us, you know that we're in a bit of a pickle. How do you say it in England? Pickle? With like some weird foreign cult stuff. I had a feeling you could help us out.
So before you jump into that, we just want to establish what we're going to do, right? So if she's an enemy, you can establish however you want that either she's an enemy or an ally. If she's an enemy, you need to signal us via get out of there. If she is an ally,
the safe word is me?
Right. We need to figure out what she knows about the meeting place of the cult, and if we can share information back and forth. That's what we want to do. So you have the ball.
Yeah, well, that's basically my approach I'm taking. I'm flat out being honest about this. It's like there's a weird foreign cult that we've run afoul of. I have a feeling that based on what my friends have said, you might be able to help us with that. Did we come to the wrong place?
As soon as you start with the like cult, she gives you this look, and then she kind of like surreptitiously looks around at like the customers in the store. She's like, perhaps your personal business is something we should discuss in my office.
Excellent idea. Lead on, Macduff.
Chris, without, I don't think I have to state it out, but I'm being vigilant.
Yep.
I don't want to get stuck in a back room with no escape and a bunch of people getting ready to jump us.
Hey, give me a spot hidden roll.
Who's that?
Anybody, really.
Everybody, really.
Really should be everybody.
So Luther and Alvin and Bill actually motions you to the back. So this is her office. You notice the young man who's helping the customers. His eyes kind of follow you, kind of catches her attention. She just kind of like very subtly nods at him. But you don't notice anybody else paying any attention to you.
Yeah, I'll give him a little evil eye glare, kind of like Waldorf and what's his face from the Muppets in the balcony.
But she leads you back to this very well kept office. And on the shelves around the office, there's not enough chairs for everybody to sit. But she takes a seat at her desk. There's
Luther will get a chair for Miss Collins.
Thank you.
Nice.
It's
Very kind of
1920s, right?
Yeah. The one gentleman in the place.
Alvin will stay by the door, ready to act if someone barges in.
Good idea.
But yeah, she kind of takes a seat, and as you kind of glance around, you can see that there are like definite like Egyptian motif for the decorations. You know, there's like a framed painting of the pyramids. Like it definitely has a very heavy Egyptian theme.
I'm gonna kind of look at something that is pretty obvious of what it is, and make a under my breath comment that that it's probably obvious to anybody who knows about this shit, but Bill's pretending he's smart. But he's not. He's being a pretentious bastard, basically.
So, and when she speaks, she does speak very good English, but she does have like she has enough of an accent. You can tell she's not from here, from England, but it's subtle enough you can tell she's lived here for a while. So, perhaps now we can speak a little bit more openly and not around others.
Yeah, I kind of nod back to the door and says, "Who was the kid? Is that is he one of us, or one of you, or one of them?"
Ed Ho works for me.
Okay.
He's a good lad.
So I've ended up with this little motley crew of ne'er-do-wells, as you've seen around me. Recently lost a bet. I made a bet with my friend, the military guy here, that that magic and the occult didn't exist, and I lost a case of wine on that one. You give me a little clue what the hell's going on and how I'm going to get myself out of it?
Well, what is it exactly you're looking for?
I believe some of her primary motivations for her crew is vengeance. Am I wrong, Luther? But
We're all here for our own purposes.
Yeah, I'm trying to get out alive and a little bit richer for the experience.
I see. And what is it you think I can do for you?
I think you know more about what's going on than we do, and we'd absolutely love to avail of your consultation services. And I'll bring out a checkbook, which I'm sure just makes her think I'm more of an asshole.
Well, if you would care to tell me what you do know, I could perhaps fill in some blanks for you.
What did you guys get attacked by the other day? Did you say it was like an invisible squid monster?
Oh, we're leading with the. Okay.
Oh, yes. I was wondering what methods Gavigan would employ. At least,
Well, apparently it's invisible squid monsters.
at least he was subtle.
Subtle. All right.
Yes, subtle.
I guess that's more subtle than giant big blue oxes.
Or other things.
Ma'am, apologies, Captain Luther Pratt, but you know that already. But I have a problem.
From my understanding, you have several problems.
You're not wrong. But one of those problems is someone's trying to kill me and mine, and they're doing it with things I can't see or shoot. I'd like to fix that, if you have a way to do that.
Oh, no, I do not. Well, that's not entirely true, but explain to me why I should help you.
Bill shakes the checkbook, which I'm sure makes you think I'm more of an asshole.
Well, perhaps if you put numbers on the check instead of waving an empty check at me, I could be better.
Well, we
persuaded.
haven't talked numbers yet.
Well, while the grown-ups are talking, why don't you come up with a figure?
All right, I'll. We're talking consultations and hints, right? So this is like the first day of our hopefully long association.
Sure.
All right, so I'll just write like 25 pounds down because don't have to roll for that number. That's just for some advice, not for this. I'm not buying anything except for a little bit of advice and professional courtesy.
My advice would be to find the one responsible for sending the assassin after you and dealing with them.
Sounds like you already know who that is.
Yes, I also know how they found you.
How'd they do that?
I told them.
Oh, for the love of God. Do I have to bid for your loyalty here?
Well, what can you offer me? I mean, I have no particular love of the man, but he is in a better position to negotiate than you are.
Ma'am, if I may, there was a good friend of mine, far from here, in a different continent, that was killed, murdered through these cults and strange things that I can't even begin to understand. I don't know what's going on. Now, somebody here is trying to do the same thing to prevent us to find the person responsible for that. And that might not mean something to you, but it does mean something to me, and it does mean something to the people in this room. And if you could help us, I would really, really appreciate that.
And you're involved in this beat. The black.
And I'm not sure if we can offer you something. And maybe we can. I don't know what you want, but
Okay, no secrets now.
I just want to make sure that my friend's okay. Or my friend is avenged.
Well, what are your intents towards persons who may be responsible?
I can't speak for the group, but the man or the organization or the deity, whatever it is, I don't know, but those responsible for killing my friend, I intend to put a bullet in them.
Yes, it rhymes with homicide.
I see. And you believe you're capable of doing this?
I believe with some help to understand what's happening. Yes.
Then perhaps we may be of assistance to one another after all.
Chris, I'm rolling psychology to tell me if she's lying or not.
All right. Absolutely. Just so you know, you need to get an extreme success.
No problem. One it is.
No problem.
No problem. I can do that. Oh my
Oh,
god!
my God!
You can't
No
hear me
problem at
clap
all.
because it takes all my hands, but awesome job.
That was
That
impressive.
was pretty epic. That was pretty
For
epic.
one, it is.
And he called a one.
All right, so Alvin, as you're kind of sizing her up as she talks, you can tell there's the way she talks about him. There's a deep resentment bordering on hatred. She is not lying. If you guys are willing to like pull the trigger, she's definitely interested.
Is it focused on him, as I can tell? Is it really him or his organization?
Him.
Okay.
I've worked hard to get where I am. Something I'm certain that Miss Collins can appreciate. I'm certain that in America, the lot of the woman is no better than it is here.
No, likely not.
So when you have worked hard to build something, and then a man comes in and tries to take that from you, and succeeds, largely. Seeing that man fall is something
Worth something to you.
something I would dearly like.
Oh, I understand.
So, Mr. Gavigan and his Brotherhood of the Dark Pharaoh. I would like to see him eliminated. Without him, his followers will fall. In exchange for doing this for me, I will gladly assist you.
Do you know where they are based?
I know where he will be.
Sorry, who are we talking about again?
Gavigan.
Gavigan's leader of the Penhue Foundation.
Yes. And at least according to her, leader of the Brotherhood of the Dark Pharaoh.
His organization might fall apart. We want to make sure that no one can just step into that void either. I'm looking at her to see how she reacts to that. If we can get rid of him and get his acolytes imprisoned for the things that they have most assuredly done, then we would consider that success. How does she react to that, Chris?
You can give me a psychology roll.
Aww.
No way, you're doing it twice.
Oh,
Oh, the
come
opposite.
on. I got 100. I saw the double zero come up and I was like, seriously?
My movie was about to be
Wow.
an 8.
So,
I'm just going from one extreme to the other.
Gavigan and those loyal to him are of no consequence. It would be best
So
if
where
he
will
was
he be?
to be unable to rebuild. His
Where
group,
will he be then?
his group meets at his country manor on the night of the full moon or the new moon.
And how can you help?
I
Your
can
dad
tell you
got
where that
broken
is.
again. Sorry. I did it by accident.
Oh, you got the sound bleed through coming. I can tell you. I can give you the address. I can provide you with disguises. And anything else that you might be looking for that is of interest regarding your friend's unfortunate demise would likely be at the house if it's not at the manufacturing plant.
The manufacturing plant.
Oh yes, Gavigan owns a manufacturing plant and does some work there from time to time. I don't believe it's related to the cult, but
Is that the one where we had the safe installed?
oh, I would imagine so.
Crystal mentioned the name. It's somewhere down in my notes.
Henson Manufacturing.
Yes, that's the one.
Yes. I don't know what he is doing there, nor do I particularly care. He believed that you may be a thorn in his side as you were in New York, with associates of his there. He came to me asking me to assist him in dealing with you, but I find your offer of killing him to be far more palatable.
In a more immediate sense, is there any advice you can give us for invisible tentacle things?
Well, if I don't tell him where you are, he won't be able to send it after you.
We know
Sounds like a
where
win
he's
to me.
going to be, and we know when he's going to be there.
And we will have disguises to be an invitation to get in.
Just takes a bullet.
You may find yourself vastly outnumbered. I would choose your moment.
And a very good escape plan.
Yes.
Don't suppose you have a plane available.
I do not. I am a spice dealer. I do not have an airplane.
You know quite a bit about his business, though. Gavigan, that is.
Yes, I do.
He's been shipping out quite a few artifacts.
I'm not surprised.
Things dealing with old deities and strange cults. But there doesn't seem to be a source for them.
I would imagine that he's funneling them through the various expeditions that the Penny Foundation funds. This year alone, I believe, last year alone, I believe they funded 4 different expeditions into various archaeological finds in Egypt.
Lovely.
Do you know where his funds come from?
The Penny Foundation is old money.
Okay.
They are not a business. They are a foundation. They provide money to other businesses. But if he is gathering artifacts to send, I would hazard a guess that is the reason why they're funding so many expeditions.
Chris, how many nights before the full moon?
The new moon?
The new moon, sorry.
But 2.5 weeks. It is currently the 5th of February, and the new moon is on the 23rd. So, we have an agreement. I have helped you, and now you will kill Mr. Gavigan.
I will.
Yeah, Bill looked at Luther to see what he said to that.
And in exchange, I will cease aiding him in his attempts to find you.
That would be greatly appreciated.
And if you have time between now and whenever this event is, can you find his boss? Mr. Gavigan's. There's always another boss. And if you can, I'll pull a bullet at him too.
I will see what I can find. Is there anything else?
No, I think we got it all, did we? Well, Bill walks out then. Winks at the
we call Bill.
yeah, and winks at the kid that was looking at us when we walked in.
We'll be in touch.
Bill, give me a spot hidden roll. Since you're the first one out.
I have no luck to spend. That's the problem.
Luck is for losers.
Well, I guess I'm not a loser then.
You're just saying because you don't have any.
Not a
That's
bit.
right. Yeah. Yeah, rich people are losers.
So she will give you the address. The house is in Essex on the North Sea. It's a country estate named Misr House. MISR.
How far is it
Yeah,
out
I've
of town?
seen an image of that before.
Yes, you did. You saw a picture of that in Gavigan's office.
Are you guys seeing pictures? Oh, you put them in the chat, not on the.
I don't think there's an actual picture of Misr House.
And you said it was where? On the...
It's in Essex. It's outside of London.
How far out?
Give me 1 sec.
Don't think it's very far.
Driving from London, it takes about 3 to 4 hours, depending on the time of day. By train, it takes about 2 hours.
Okay.
Ma'am, thank you.
Oh, thank you.
leave, and we said we'll be in touch. On the way back, Chris, I
Yep.
want to know if we're being followed. It is so.
Yep.
It is such a easy place to pick us up.
Yep. Everybody can give me spot hidden rolls. All right.
I did as well as I did last time.
Ooh, Luther.
All right. Between Alvin and Salvatore and Luther, you're sure you're not being followed.
Great. You know what's one question, Bill, that we forgot to ask her?
What was that?
How did she know where we were?
We did not ask that question. You're right.
Doesn't matter.
Okay. So this is when we get back home through the salt. We were careful not to scuff the salt lines. I go back to the board. I'm like, okay, so if our plan is to assassinate Gavigan, she assures us that everything would fall apart afterwards. We need to do it without being identified. So like that, the authorities are not on us. To do that, we need a good lay of the area. We need to make sure that our disguises are bulletproof, however we manage to get in. And we need to make sure that our exit plan is beyond perfect so we don't get caught or discovered as we leave. Now, Luther, you mentioned a bullet, but will any other method suffice for you?
As long as the job gets done.
Yeah, bullets are just the easiest one.
Because I'm not for wanton murder, but all these people are cultists. They are trying to do the worst thing imaginable. I would love if that building is within 100-yard diameter.
We don't know that everyone in that building is a cultist.
That's why the reconnaissance is important. But so far, when we went to the Juju house, they got rid of all of their customers, all of their shopkeepers, and they only went in with the robes and the cults. Normally, the help disappears and the cultists stay. We'll double check, make sure that that's the case. Because if that's the case, we burn it to the ground.
Alvin, I'll make myself very clear. I will kill a man, but I'm not killing servants. I'm not killing...
That's servants, again, agreed. But if these are all cultists, and if we say there are only 12 people in this house and they're all wearing those robes, you in New York said you wanted a list of these people so you could knock on their doors and shoot them one after the other.
If we can confirm that, I'll kill every one of them. And I won't hesitate. If we can't,
I agree. I'm not here to kill the innocent. How disturbed is everyone else at the conversation that Luther and I just had?
Not a bit.
Oh, you're muted.
Sorry. No, Evelyn doesn't seem to be disturbed at all.
So after this conversation
I look
ends,
slightly concerned.
after this conversation ends, just because I know that we're almost at time here, I know we're not going to embark on another mission in the next 13 minutes, is that I'm just going to say to everyone, after that conversation is over, Alvin is going to find a quiet space because he's concerned with the words that came out of his own mouth.
I thought that was strange for Alvin too.
Yeah, but there comes a point where you get strangled by invisible tentacle monsters who are sent by you by horrible cultists, and then there's like a shift in priorities that needs to. But there's a difference between saying that out loud and internalizing it and saying it out loud. There's like he needs to have a moment with himself to figure out where he stands on all this.
Oh, I agree 100%. Like Luther's not a bad guy. He's not a killing machine by any means. Like Salvatore's got far more stats in killing people than Luther does. But Luther's willing to put his body in the way. Like he's a soldier, right? So he just doesn't get it.
Like this is like at the meta level, but what Alvin is going through his head right now is those that would use monsters are monsters. And
I think Luther would agree 100% with that if they had that conversation.
Yeah, and the thought that there are monsters out there has always been fun. Now he's actually like been strangled by one. There's a whole. This is probably not a one moment in time discussion that Alvin needs to have. Just like I'm just giving you guys the internalized voice of what's happening with Alvin here. There's and you guys will probably sense it over the next few games. There's
a shift, right?
Yeah, there's like a decision somewhere that happened past tense, and now he's trying to come to terms with what that decision it means for him.
There's a difference between like the theoretical and the absolute, right? When you're absolutely drowning with something in your lungs, driving is different than something can come get you. I think it's profound, right? Like that's a character shift, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So as you guys arrive back home, safe and sound, not followed, no invisible tentacle monsters trying to kill you. You have the location where Gavigan's Country Manor is. It's definitely something you can research if anybody wants to get a little bit of information about the lay of the land.
I'm sure we will.
Mm-hmm.
And
so that's probably all next game, but yeah, I think that's our priority right now. Is our book people are going to research that on the book side, and our action people are going to go and take an actual physical look and see what's going on. Take some pictures if they can.
Perfect. All right, so we will pick that up next week.
All right.
Outstanding. You want to do skills now, or you want to wait till next week?
Well, we'll do luck rolls.
Oh, luck rolls.
Remember luck.
Holy.
Hey, I got some.
I got luck.
How come Salvatore got all his skills went up?
He hit the skill button instead of the luck button.
Oh.
Ooh, I got 8 back.
Sorry, did
Can
I
we
do
all get
something
skills?
wrong?
Yeah, no worries. I can fix those up for you.
Okay, thanks.
It's the luck roll from Luther.
I don't want to roll it.
Still cannot believe I called the one.
Yeah, that would be
Hey!
amazing.
Oh,
I've never
luck.
seen anybody do that.
Congratulations, Luther. You got some luck back.
I told you I was too lucky to die.
Perfect.
And the funniest part is
Hey.
the 1, and then immediately the 100.
Yeah,
That was so
That was
painful
awesome.
to see.
but the one provided you with crucial information, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It was at the right
Oh
moment.
yeah, dude, solid roll.
Just a
The
question
one
of
was very cool.
what the fumble indicates. Perfect.
It's Cthulhu. It's all bad. Like everything's bad.
Even the good rolls are bad. Like
I
it
roll a
doesn't
one.
matter.
It sucks less.
Alrighty, so we will see everybody next week.
Catch you later.
All right. Have a good
All
night.
right.
everybody.
Thanks, Chris.